Hola. This brief video is to introduce you to a new verb tense. Very quickly, we'll go back through the concept of what a verb tense is and what conjugations are. We have learned two different verb tenses so far this year. We started with the present tense. Okay, to begin that was very challenging for us because we had no concept of what it meant to conjugate a verb, but now we do. So quick little review. A conjugation means you change the verb, you adapt it to match up with the person or group or thing that you're writing about. So we would have instances like Pablo corre en el parque. We know that the verb to run is correr. We cannot put that in a sentence because that would indicate Pablo to run in the park. We need to adapt the verb. So remember, our first step was we dropped the ending, the ER ending in this case, and we had to study a new list of endings. For ER, they were O, ace, amos, ain, and choose the correct one. For Pablo, it would be corre. If the sentence had started with nosotros, it would have been corremos. Okay, we did that with AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. Took us a while, but we eventually got it figured out and did very well with it. From there, we moved on. Our next round of verb practice was with what I call a present tense verb phrase. This is simply an extension of the present tense. So instead of saying we run in the park, we would say we are going to run in the park. Okay, so this instance, we do have to run, but we had these different beginnings as we learned 10 different ones. We're going to run in the park. We need to run in the park. We want, queremos, to run in the park. We can run in the park. Nosotros podemos correr en el parque, etc. That grammar was a bit challenging because you had to learn the 10 different verb phrase starters: want, need, like to, hate, etc., and how they changed. Many of those were irregular. And our grades were a little lower on that. The good news is the third tense we're going to do, called the present progressive, is a lot simpler than the verb phrases and easier than the present tense as well. Okay, we're going to move from saying things like we run in the park, which is a statement of fact, or we can run, which is simply giving a little more information to that fact. We can, we're going to, we need to now changing the time that it occurs, and we're going to say we are running. Okay, the present progressive then in English, we have the verb am, are, or is plus ing. So he is walking, they are listening, I am talking, we are studying. That means that the action is in progress. It's live in the present, whereas the ordinary present tense does not mean the action is happening right at this moment. We run in the park, that could be we run in the park twice a week. It's general information, a statement of fact. The present progressive now focuses exactly on this moment. Carpe diem, seize the day, live in the moment. That's the present progressive. So how do we do it? Well, you're going to need to memorize the verb estar, which means to be. I know earlier in the course you learned the verb ser meant to be. Soy, eres, es, somos, and son. And it does indeed mean to be. However, in Spanish, there are two different ways to say to be. Ser we used early in the year to describe people, adjectives, state facts, etc. And that is a correct verb. However, estar also exists, means the exact same thing, to be, but is used in different sentences. In the present progressive, where you're going to use am, are, is, plus ing, we are walking, I am writing, we will never use ser. It always uses a star. This is a new verb for us, and we need to memorize it. So the forms are yo estoy, tú estás, él, ella, nombre está, nosotros estamos, and ustedes, ellos, ellas están. And you can see that it is indeed irregular here, estoy. Okay, we drop the AR. It's an AR verb, but we didn't just add O, there's a Y there. That makes it irregular. It means you have to study and memorize it separately. Estoy. The rest of these appear to follow the rules, at least spelling-wise. Estás, we drop the AR, we add AS. Está, we drop the AR, we added A. Estamos, and están. However, there are some accents. And we know when we first studied the present tense conjugations, they didn't have accents. But the verb estar does. So since this has a couple of irregular forms in it, you need to practice it separately. And if you can learn the verb estar, you will already get at least 50% on all of the quizzes related to this, because that is half of the present progressive. That is the am, are, or is portion. The second part is easier. The ing in Spanish. Ing in Spanish is done in either one of two ways, ando or yendo. So if it is an AR verb and you want to have the ing ending indicating it's in progress, you're going to drop the AR to add ando. So you'd get verbs like caminando, walking, bailando, dancing. Take the verb visitar, to visit. No, we want visiting. Drop the AR, visitando. The ER and IR, we're going to drop those letters and add yendo. So once again, it is, even when it's simple in Spanish, verbs are harder than they are in English. As in English, we have one ending, ing. In Spanish, we're up to two, ando for AR and yendo for ER or IR. So the verb eating would be comiendo. We drop the ER in comer and we add yendo. Writing, escribiendo. Living, viviendo, etc. Relatively, it's a pretty simple tense. And again, the meaning is someone is doing something right at this moment. It's not over. It's not something they do repetitively. All the focus is on right now. You practice estar, estoy, estás, está, estamos, están, and you memorize ando for AR and yendo for ER and IR. A quiz format could look like this. You would simply need to prove knowledge that you can read what that says. Ellos están estudiando. They are what? They are studying. Okay, if it was an ER verb, ellos están corriendo. They are running. We see the different ending there. You might also need to, on a quiz, fill in the blank. Okay, we could get a format such as this. Okay, and prove the grammar here. So we have I what, yo estar. Okay, what's the form there? It's irregular. You have to have it memorized. Yo estoy. And then I want I am playing, not to play. Drop the AR in jugar. Jugando. That would be a little more challenging, that second format. And the third format would be translating a full sentence. And that could include the -.1 for additional information. So we might have something like, Pablo is talking with his friends. Pablo, oh, what's is? It's not S, because that's ser. We need to use a star. Pablo está. Okay, what's to talk? Hablar. We drop that AR. Pablo está hablando. That's the new grammar you're working with, está hablando. The rest of this is additional information. Con sus amigos. More than one friend. Su became plural. On a format like that, This would be the main portion. Está, half a point. Hablando, half a point. If you mess up any additional information, which would be a review, it would be -0.1 per error. And that's what we'll be doing here with this tense.